Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation, the sixth pauri of Rag Gujri War Mahalla Panjwa. We continue with the composition of Guru Arjan. This has two saloks and a pauri. The recitation first. Salok Mahalla Panjwa, Man Mah Chitavau Chitavani, Uddam Karon Uth Neet, Har Kirtan Ka Aharo, Har Deho Nanak Ke Meet. Mahalla Panjwa, Drishtari Prabh Rakhya, Man Tan Ratta Mool, Nanak Jo Prabh Paਣਿਆ, ਮਰੋ ਚਾਰੀ ਸੂਲ ਪੌੜੀ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਬਿਰਥਾ ਹੋਏ ਸੋ ਗੁਰ ਪੈ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰ ਛੋੜ ਸਿਆਣਪ ਸਗਲ ਮਨ ਤਨ ਅਰਪ ਧਰ ਪੂਜੋ ਗੁਰ ਕੇ ਪੈਰ ਦੁਰਮਤੀ ਜਾਏ ਜਰ ਸਾਧ ਜਨਾ ਕੇ ਸੰਗ ਪਵਜਲ ਬਿਖਮ ਤਰ सेवो सतगुरु देव अगे न मरहों डर खिन मैं करे निहाल ऊने सुबर पर मन को होए संतोख त्याइए सदा हर सो लगा सतगुर सेव जाको कर्म तुर मन को होए संतोख त्याइए सदा हर सो लगा सतगुर सेव जाको कर्म तुर. So in this pauri, the Guru begins Jaki birtha hoye so gur pe ardas kar. Should the mind feel uncertain or unsure about something, if it is confused and uncertain, then what do? You petition the Guru, you seek out wisdom. And so in this pauri, along with the sloks, the Guru uses his own example to explain how he made a resolve and how he sought out wisdom and how he achieved the goal. So in the salok, he says, Man Mah Chitavau Chitavani. He says, in my mind, I resolved. Chitavau Chitavani is to make a resolution. Chitvani, in the mind. He says, I made a conscious resolution in my mind that I am going to make a sustained effort. Uddam karon, uthaneet, every day. So this is a familiar position for a lot of us. We decide to do something that we are going to do ABC starting tomorrow. So that resolution is made. So the Guru is saying, I have made a resolution. And what is the resolution that the Guru has made? It is Har Kirtan ka aharo. Har Kirtan ka aharo. Of eulogizing the herself, of making eulogy, glorification, the sustenance of one's life. In other words, to be rooted in virtue. And so he begins by saying, Har deho nanak ke meet. He seeks out wisdom. He prays for wisdom. So to achieve a higher state of awareness, which is what Guruji is doing, giving us the example, it requires commitment and it requires resolve, because to overcome the ego's conditioned habits is not an easy task. The ego is conditioned. It's tied to its material desires. It's tied to illusions that it entertains and its own self-centeredness. So it requires daily effort and practice, uddam karo utha neet, to cultivate the necessary virtues so that they become the source of one's life. Har kirtan ka aharo. Aharo has a dual connotation. It signifies effort. It also signifies nutrition, sustenance. Kirtan is glorification, but it is also effort. So to make that effort at glorification, glorification is nothing more than cultivating and practicing virtue, the qualities that Gurmat has placed in front of us. You need that practice. It needs practice to break the ego's conditioning. So Nanak reaches out to that inner guide and friend, the self, for support. Then Nanak ke meet. And then, having made the resolve, he qualifies it. He says, Drishtitari prab rakhya mantan ratta mool. The prab, the self within, the wisdom, it favored me with its glance. In other words, it made itself available to me. And my mind and body were imbued with love of the self, with an awareness of the self. Mantan ratta mool. Nanak jo barab paਣਿਆ maro vichari sool. It harmonized my mind, he says, and those who are in harmony, they are freed from their mental afflictions, the perversions of the mind. So what is happening here is you have to make a resolve. There is self-effort which is necessary, but the second slok reminds us that just as necessary, if not more, is grace, which is needed for success. We need a favorable glance, so to speak, drishtatar prabharakya, to hold us, to sustain us in our effort. Because no matter what our effort is, there is always unanticipated circumstances that are beyond our control and can interfere with that effort. So that is why we also look for grace. We walk with the knowledge that while I can make self-effort, it is not enough. I need the compassion and the grace of the Guru as well. Now, this is also, among other things, it is true, we don't control everything. You may or may not succeed, but this also speaks to an attitude. You reach out to the Guru, you seek grace so that you don't become filled with self-pride. It's a caution. It's a necessary caution. So understand that self-awareness, that union with the self, love of the self, is not a function of the ego, because the ego has to break down. The ego has to disappear. So it is a function of grace, nadar, kirpa. So we need a favorable glance. And the Guru says, when I received that favorable glance, my mind was filled with tranquility. So when your mind becomes tranquil, you can be sure that you are receiving that grace. These are sure signs of receiving grace when you begin to be filled with harmony with the world outside and tranquility within. You are the best judge. You will know it's happening. And in the Pauri, Ji ki birtha hoye so gur pe ardas. We've touched on this earlier. Should you feel helpless, uncertain about anything, reach out for wisdom. Chod siyanap sagal. Here's the condition. The Guru's laying out the conditions. So when the mind is uncertain or confused, ji ki virtha hoye, seek wisdom, gur pe ardas kar. What that means is to rid yourself of your own bias, your prejudices, your habitual mode of thinking, because it's guaranteed that when faced with a situation, you're going to repeat your thinking process. And that is what has to break down. So rid yourself of that bias, chod siyanap sagal, and submit the mind. Submit the mind. In other words, keep an open mind. Be receptive. Man tan arpatar. Then what do? Follow the instruction of the Guru. Listen to Gurmat, the wisdom or understanding of the Guru. Puja Guru ki pair, feet, which are symbolic of the Guru's wisdom. You do that, and it will quieten the inner chatter of your own thoughts, that web of thinking that is always making a noise, and it will dispel your confusion. Durmat jai jar. But not only that, keep an open mind, be receptive, but also consult with mentors. Sadhajana ke sang, people who have successfully traversed this path, people who are on this path can be your mentors. We need mentors in anything that we want to accomplish. So it is extremely important to look for mentoring. Sadhajana ke sang, pavjal bikham tar. They have successfully, they're navigating life successfully. So you need their mentoring. We don't talk enough about mentoring within our community, which is, I think, a shame, but we need to speak about it. Mentoring is, we are quite willing to acquire a mentor in any other discipline, but when it comes to Gurmat, we think we can do it on our own. The fact is, you can't. And then the concluding 4 lines speak to the impact of Guru wisdom. Devotion to Guru wisdom, Seve Satgur Dev, it prepares you to face any challenge without fear. Agge na mare dar. And it also tells us that the wisdom of the Guru is intuitive in nature. It's direct perception. It comes in a flash. Khin mein kare nihal. It fills you. It fills you up. You know what to do. It's an indication of intuitive awareness. And so the individual who is anchored in Guru wisdom faces life with a sense of deep contentment. Man ko hoy santok. And with mindful awareness. Ye sada har. And such an individual is truly blessed. So laga Satgur Sev, jako karam tur. Tur means the source, the origin. That individual who actually is devoted to the true enlightener receives grace from the source. That grace will come if your devotion is not a facade, is real. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.